Hello and welcome back to the channel. So today we're visiting a hidden coastal location with the hope of capturing some landscape photographs. I've got the Canon R5 in the bag with a couple of lenses, so it should be a cracking day of photography. So let's go and see what we can find. Now the problem with this location is you can only gain access to it on the very lowest of low tides. Today's low tide is 0.68 meters, so extremely low, and that will give us a window of about 2 hours to be able to take some photographs down here. First of all, we'll go across a rather treacherous boulder field to get down there. When walking across this type of terrain, you've got to be so careful because the tide washes in right over the top of this. This will be buried at high tide, at an 8-meter high tide, you know, so one false move, you bang your head, you get wedged in these rocks. Nobody's ever going to find you. Very few people come down here, especially this time of year. So yes, always make sure you tell someone where you're going if you venture into terrains such as this, because things can quite easily go south. Anyway, I'm going to put you down while I get over this last bit because this is quite tricky. So, I think I might start off with a wide shot looking down the coast with a 24-70. We've got a layering process of cliffs as they, diminish into the distance there. There's not a huge interest in the sky, but there is a bit of haze to this scene. I love this striking rock formation we've got here with this slot in it. Some wonderful textures. I love these rocks here in the foreground. So we'll see if I can make something work here. It's about 11:45 now, low tide is at 12 o'clock, so that gives me roughly about an hour and a half then to concentrate on some patterns in these amazing sea caverns that we've got here. Such an incredible location, absolutely spectacular, just breathtaking. I've faffed around a little bit, moving left to right, up and down just a little bit, just to fine tune my composition, because I think with this particular shot here, it's all about balance between these jaggedy rocks in the foreground with the seaweed and sea anemones dotted all over them and barnacles too. Yeah, it looks great. Some lovely colours as well. Some of the lava seaweed we've got here is a lovely purple tone to it, and some greener sea lettuce I think it is a little bit further on, so that's great. Just add some splashes of colour here and there, but it's all about these rocks and the smooth, pristine sand, which looks wonderful. Settings wise, at the minute I am 125th at f9. It's giving me sharpness from front to back, but I am going to take a few different exposures just so I can bring back in the detail in the sky. Focusing on the rocks here in the foreground, 2-second timer. Yeah, nice one to start the day. The key thing with this type of photography is getting the light right. If the light is too harsh on the subject, the shadows become very, very dark. Although that can look quite nice, I think it's better with a much more diffused, softer light on it. I think it helps the contours not to be so contrasty, if you like. But there's a fair bit of cloud around, so I'm just waiting for the sun to pop behind a bit of cloud, and then we get that nice diffusion, almost like nature's natural softbox, if you like. But this scene's really nice. We've got this flow of water around this beautiful outcrop of limestone. It looks fantastic. just flowing around the front of it. And then it's quite a simple composition, but there are some beautiful textures and details that I might want to zoom into a little bit more and maybe just try and pick out a few finer details. There's also a nice slot just round to the left-hand side. So I'm going to play around with this composition for a short bit of time and then move around to the larger cave around there, because that looks absolutely beautiful too. I've really enjoyed using the Canon R5 over the last few days. It's felt like I've owned it for years, but sadly it's got to go back the day after tomorrow. Everything's set out really well and the image quality is fantastic as well. And in terms of size, I think Canon have done a really good job. It's not too dissimilar in size to my Fuji setup, so that's really interesting and definitely food for thought. Right, onwards, see if we can find another composition. So I had heaps of fun around that other side, picking out details, but I've moved around to the more cavernous side of this cave. It's a bit more open this side, and I love the rock formations here. It's absolutely brilliant, and what I've tried to do is be very mindful of how I position the elements within the scene, because there's a rock that stands up in the middle of the rock pool, and I'm trying to get separation between the rocks on the left, the rocks on the right, but also some balance and symmetry with the way the rocks lean over to this big slab on the left. So yeah, just gradual subtle movements from left to right make such a big difference to this composition, as does light as well. And at the minute the light's nice and diffused as well, which is great. Really enjoyed working down here. It's been absolutely brilliant this morning. So I took a couple of compositions behind me there that you might have already seen, but this one down here has really caught my eye. I absolutely love the patterns in the sand. There's definitely a sense of balance and harmony within this image. The sand sweeps around in this wonderful pattern, almost like an S-curve, leading the eye through the scene, and the boulders replicate some of those patterns. And what's happened here, as the water's receded in the rock pool, it's left these stepping patterns in the embankment of the sand. And I really like that. I think it looks absolutely fantastic. You can also see some texture and detail in the bottom of the rock pool as well. 40th per second F9, 2-second timer, perfect. That light was absolutely brilliant. Just enough diffusion to add texture and patterns and shadows to the rocks without it being too contrasty. So that's what I've been battling with. I'm going to spend another couple of minutes just grabbing a few more shots as the light changes, and then I need to get off this beach because, yeah, that tide is about 2 meters away from the edge of the cavern there, and I really don't want to spend the night in this cavern. Anyway, I hope you enjoy this image. There it goes. So I decided I'm not going to do a review on the Canon R5. I don't think it's fair to review a camera after just a couple of days of use. And landscape photography is not that demanding on a camera, not compared to say wildlife or astrophotography or something like that, sports photography, where you really put it through its paces in terms of autofocus and, you know, low light performance, that type of thing. So yes, I won't be doing a review on it, but what I will be doing is an image comparison between the crop sensor Fuji X-H2 and the full frame Canon R5. So look out for that one. I'm going to do some print comparisons and see how the two, you know, how the two compare for a landscape photography situation. So that's what I'll be doing, and that'll be coming out in a couple of weeks. If you're interested in last week's shoot where I took the Canon R5 out in really miserable rainy conditions and got a couple of really nice images actually in the fog, check out the video that's over here. If you like the video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up because that always helps me out. Anyway guys, until next week, take care and I'll see you soon.